Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm super happy to have you here again. And as you can see, I'm wearing my comfy clothes, meaning we're gonna discuss something serious today. My name is Diana. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so right now so I can be sharing my own experience of life, being a fitness trainer, give you some tips. If you want to see more of me, follow me also on my social media. And let's get into this difficult topic today. So I promised you guys in the previous video that basically we are gonna discuss the topic of what is happening in Dubai, what was happening in Dubai in the end of February, the Dubai-Iran thing. And I want to give you guys firstly a big disclaimer before we jump into the topic at all. And that is that I'm just sharing my own experience, what I went through and what I've seen by my eyes. I'm not claiming anything else, I'm not blaming anyone, and I'm not definitely going against the media or anything that was said and not leading any misinformation. I'm just going to tell you what I was feeling and my own experience. So it all started on 28 February, which was Saturday. And it was a normal day, so yeah, I am working in Dubai as a personal trainer and Saturday is actually my working day. However, we do only one shift on Saturdays. So I usually come at 7 a.m. and stay there until 3 p.m. Yeah, depending how I have clients, etc. And that was also what happened on that Saturday. However, I received a trial that was scheduled for 5 p.m. that day. And trial is someone that is just trying a free session. So usually we have to be more flexible, to get them on board, provide them nice service, etc. So I said yes, and I definitely was coming there again at 5 p.m. So what happened during this break was that I came home, I believe I've eaten, and then I get ready and I went back to work before 5, obviously, so I'm there on time. And I came there and I was already a bit panicking because I believe that day around 2 p.m. there was already happening something in Abu Dhabi and people were slightly sharing some rumors, etc. You could read something on the internet. So that's when I started texting my people and I was like, wow, like this is happening. Should I be scared? What's going on? And my people were actually calming me down. They were like, yeah, like don't worry. Will not go to Dubai, everything is safe. So I came to work and I was sitting there with my colleague and we were just chit-chatting about this whole thing. And back then, as I said, it was something before 5 p.m. He was actually making fun of it. And, imagine me, a stressed girly, just trying to calm herself down. These comments were definitely not helping. So I was feeling more and more stressed and a bit uncomfortable. My trial was a bit late, so I was just engaged in this topic even though I didn't really want to because it was stressing me out. Anyway, it all happened. Then my trial arrived and I had the session with them. That lasted 1 hour. After 1 hour, I believe it was something around 6:30, 6:45 p.m. I was done. I was sitting again with my colleague talking about the situation. And I was like, look, so what happened during this 1 hour? I was not on my phone. Can you give me some kind of update? Is it safe to leave? And yeah, they were like encouraging me. They were like, sure, you go whenever you're ready. But I didn't feel like it. I was like postponing it. I was like, maybe even, let's say, feeling safe there because obviously there is more people at home. It's just me, myself, So yeah, I was postponing it as possible. And then at one time, my colleague suggested, look, let's go out together. I'll walk you to the car. You will feel safe. I'm like, perfect, let's do that. The moment I walk out of the doors of the gym, so imagine it's a bit higher because there is like a huge staircase and then like the platform and the door. So we were at the platform and then we still needed to walk down the staircase. But it was all already outside. Yeah, this is already, everything is outside. So we walked out the door, we are standing on the platform. I want to go down to the staircase, but I look in front of myself and there is something unidentified flying in front of me. I mean, obviously far distance, but it's pitch dark. So you can see some flying object that is like super bright. And suddenly you hear like a big boom in the background and it disappears. I'm not gonna specify what it was. I have my assumptions. But this is what I've seen, and I completely freaked out. Ran back to the gym and started crying because this girlie, she's sensitive. I started crying, I started calling everyone, and I was like, I've seen this with my own eyes. It was a very dramatic situation. People were very confused. They didn't know what it was, what they should be expecting, if it's gonna get worse, if it is safe outside. People were panicking because, in the end of the day, the workplace where I work is actually a pretty tall and high building. And what we were told is that sometimes when attacks happen, usually they attack very tall and high buildings. So we were like, maybe it's not really safe to stay in here. And luckily, I had this very nice colleague of mine who offered that he will drop me at home because I was not able to drive. Obviously, because of my reaction, because what I was feeling, I was not able to drive. So luckily, he dropped me off home all safely. I must say that this whole ride, I was just stressing. I was very tense. I was like, what's going on? Just looking all over the sky and checking the surrounding. As I said, luckily everything went well. I went home safely, but actually it was still not the end. So I arrived home safely, luckily, and that's not where it ends. Unfortunately, I was still freaking out, and the first thing I started doing was packing my bag, because what if we are called to go somewhere, hide somewhere? So I was packing food, essentials, etc. I was on a call with my boyfriend. I started ordering food because I was not sure, what if they close shops? What if people are not able to buy food? We should probably stack on food. So I started ordering food, and imagine, it was not only me, people were doing the same things. So some things were already sold out, some things were overpriced, the prices increased. It was such a hectic moment. I didn't know what was going on, basically. And I remember I just went through the recommended items. I just ordered a bunch of them. I didn't even know what I ordered in the end. And that was it. I paid tons of money, and luckily it arrived. And I was doing all of these tasks at the same time. And the last one, I started charging all the electronics because, again, I just was not sure what's going on. And then I started searching whether I am living somewhere next to US military base or anything that's connected to the US. And unfortunately, I realized I am actually living, I believe, 15 minutes by a car from one US military base camp. And that freaked me out again. But it's connected by, I could hear explosions in the very far distance, and that was also not obviously adding into my mood, and I was freaking out. I grabbed my blanket and pillow, and I went hide into the bathroom, because my bathroom is the only room in the apartment which is actually not sharing any of the walls with outside and has no windows. And this is also what they recommend you to do and where to hide in such rooms. So I just remember I grabbed stuff there and I hid there, and I was just trying to wait there as long as possible. And then I realized that I actually forgot my cable to the power bank in my car, which is in the garage. And I remember that people were actually recommended to go shelter in the garages. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I can go check whether people are there. Maybe I can move there. And alternatively, I can also grab the cable itself. So somehow I built up the courage and I went down to the garage. And on my way there, I was like, am I from a different world? Because I could see people outside through the reception door. They were there smoking, chilling, laughing. It was Saturday night. Some people were drunk, going out, coming back. And I'm like, why am I panicking like this? People are chill. Anyway, I grabbed my cable, I came back, and seeing these people just somehow calmed me down. So in the end, I ended up sleeping in my bed in the room that's basically next to windows. Luckily, at least I had a peaceful night, let's say, better night than sleeping in the bathroom. But it was all a bit crazy because obviously we started receiving the alerts on our phones. That's the horrible sound that draws your attention, and basically it says attention, potential missile is around, you should seek a shelter, and then you should be hiding there until you receive another all safe notification or alert, which sometimes even took 1 hour. So Imagine all this time you don't know what's going on, you're just hiding, freaking out. At least I was freaking out. So this is what happened the first day, and ever since the day it was calmer and calmer. I must say every day was better. It was more hours in between receiving the alerts, in between even hearing something outside. But the mind, the way what it did with your mind was crazy. Like imagine it's been like already over a week and I had not had a single nice night where I would be able to sleep through the whole night. Every time I just wake up due to some noises, and like it's just there in your subconsciousness, like you're just freaking out, you're hearing the cars outside and it also like freaks you out, so you start overthinking and it's all like a vicious cycle. It's just not good, at least not for my mental health. Then the thing at the palm happened, and unfortunately the hotel was attacked, actually not on purpose, but I'm not gonna go into details, you can find it online. But that also freaked everyone out because even though it was not the purpose to attack that hotel, it happened. So yeah, it just made it more real, and it showed people, or at least me, that anything can happen. And also residential area were affected, so it was not a calm situation. I know here people were divided into two groups, those that really like didn't care and those that were panicking. I was let's say somewhere in the middle. I'm just a realistic person, and as of now, I still don't know where is this going to, when will be the end, and how long it will take. There were some allegations that something happened also at the Dubai airport, and it's very scary for me to imagine even flying right now. There were also some charter flights that were organized by your local embassies. However, usually all of them go from Oman. That's another thing. Some people quickly drove to Oman, which they were lucky because it was easier to fly from Oman. I unfortunately didn't have that option, so I am and was stuck in Dubai, and I started looking into flights because I realized that this is making me very feel unstable, unsafe, and on top of everything that I was going through at that moment, this was just becoming too much, and I was not able to basically maintain my mental health stable. And I decided that this is the last straw and this is the end. Why am I gonna move out of Dubai? So I started looking into the flights, and unfortunately, since I want to move out permanently, I need to still close some things. There is rent, there are bank accounts that you need to close. But I'm now talking to the people and trying to close everything and basically leave as soon as possible, because I just don't like being in this situation where we don't know what to expect. And although I do trust UAE is keeping us safe, I just never imagined myself living in this situation where I even need to be thinking about such things. So I feel like I really do want to leave right now, and I'm ready to leave. Unfortunately, it worked out in this sense, but I feel like it was a sign for me that this was enough. And yeah, currently I'm in the stage where I'm checking the flights, I'm trying to book something, and I hope that I will be able to leave by the end of the month, somewhere around the 20th. I'll keep you guys posted. I'm actually very scared also to fly, but I'll keep you posted, and hopefully we will see each other once I'm back in Europe and I can finish this video. See you then. Welcome to the part 2 of the video, and I'm super happy to be talking to you here from a new place. So today it's 25th of March, and as I promised you before, guys, for you it's just a shortcut, but it's about 3 weeks in between those two videos. And as I promised, this is the part 2, the continuing of this whole thing, my experience, and I'm finally talking to you guys from Europe. I'm back to Europe and I could not be more happy. You cannot even imagine, guys, how relieved I am. So let's get into it. So I believe the last time I spoke to you was just me still in Dubai, and I was telling you that I'm basically scared of flying, not sure what to expect because some flights were delayed, postponed. Some airways actually also stopped flying, and it was just down to Emirates that you could book a flight from. And Emirates is pretty expensive. So let me tell you my experience and what actually happened and how I managed to escape to Europe. So I believe around the 16th of March, which was a Monday, I started looking more into the flights, and it was very easy because none of the airways were actually flying. So I ended up just deciding in between two, which was Turkish Airways and Emirates. And Turkish Airways had actually a layover. You had to actually do change the planes, and altogether it would add up to more hours than Emirates. However, the ticket was cheaper. Still, I did not decide to go and fly with Turkish Airways just because, sorry for spelling the names, but just because I felt safer with Emirates. I don't know, I felt safer, I'm sorry. Plus, on top of that, I had to pack my two big like L luggages and one S small luggage, and it was a lot. And if you had to actually check this on your flight tickets and add the additional luggage, it ended up being cheaper to fly with Emirates than the Turkish Airways. So for me, it was decided because Emirates actually flights direct flights, and it was around 8 hours, and that's it. So everything was actually covered. I believe I paid around 850 euros, which is extremely lot for one-way ticket from Dubai to Europe. But to be honest, it was not really possible to go cheaper with the amount of luggages that I had. I also checked like different alternatives as of just shipping my luggage with just the different shipping delivery companies, but it would end up being the same as flying with it. So I was just like, let's not complicate it, let's bring it all with myself so I don't lose it, I don't need to keep track of anything, and it just comes with me directly. I don't need to wait for it, because there was also, obviously due to current situation in the Middle East, delay in the delivery. So that's how I decided to book the ticket, and I booked it for the 22nd of March, which I believe was Sunday, early hours, like something around 7:30 a.m., because there were only two options, early morning and late afternoon. I actually wanted something that's a bit later, something around 9 a.m. Not because I cannot wake up, I can wake up anytime, but more because usually when I was still in Dubai, there would be some things going on around this morning hours, like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. So I was a bit skeptical, you know me, but yet I still decided to go ahead and buy the ticket. However, what happened around, I believe, 15th or 16th of March was that actually there was some kind of incident in the vicinity of the airport, very close. And due to this incident, basically people were even evacuated from the airport, and some flights were completely cancelled, or let's say rebooked or rescheduled for later. And I freaked out because I was like, okay, so this is, I believe, Monday, I'm flying on Sunday, what's gonna happen in between these days? Because again, flights were cancelled, and I already had my ticket, and I was like, please, 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 just let me fly, I don't want to rebook it. Because the thing with me is that I actually had to also cancel my apartment. So as of 22nd of March, I didn't have where to stay. So that was it. I was done. So I really prayed for everything to go well, and for the remaining days of the week, I was just checking the situation online, reading everything and checking like what's going on, are there some updates. Was I stressing? Probably, yeah, definitely yes. But all in all, I managed to survive until Sunday morning. I woke up at around, I believe I woke up like 4 a.m. I couldn't sleep much, so I woke up even before my alarm clock, naturally. And yeah, I just called a taxi and I headed to the airport, and it was a horrible ride because I was the whole time very nervous. I was still checking the situation, if there is something new. I was very skeptical to arrive to the airport, but once I did, it was full of people. This was my first time being at DXB, Dubai International Airport, so I don't know what's the normal situation, how does it normally look like when there is nothing going on in the country. I believe it's more crowded because this time it was not that crowded, but there was a lot of people. Like, you had to queue still to drop off the luggage, like there were people. And yeah, so I just quickly rushed into the check-in of the baggage, because I was like, if something is gonna happen, I cannot be running around with 3 big luggages, because it will limit me so much and I cannot leave them behind. So I basically rushed to the check-in point to drop off the luggages, which successfully happened. And then I was just left with one small luggage. I was like, okay, this feels better. This feels like I can breathe and I can run around if necessary, right? Like, yeah, this was what was going in my head. I'm just being honest with you guys. And yeah, then I went through the security check. People were super sweet there. They were talking to me, asking me what I'm doing, and funny things. They wanted to come to visit me to the gym where I used to work, since I'm a personal trainer. But I was telling them, like, no, like, I'm actually leaving the country, so this actually cannot happen, unfortunately. And yeah, then I passed the security check. Everything was fine. I headed to the gate, and there I was, just sitting at a chair, obviously calling my boyfriend because I was stressing out. He was calming me down. Everything was okay until I got onto the plane. And once I got onto the plane, I was like, oh yes, I have a seat next to the window. Perfect. Lucky me. At least I can see everything from above. No, actually, the plane was like half empty, half full. So actually, I had the whole row for myself. I didn't realize. I saw this on Instagram before, but I just didn't realize that this is actually the case. And only once we started taking off, I realized, okay, probably not more people are coming anymore. Anyway, obviously, due to the situation, the airplane was not full at all. And once we took off, we had actually 1 hour delay. So we were just sitting in the plane, and the pilot was waiting. And then he spoke to us, and he said that he's just waiting for some clearance so that we are ready to go. And the moment he said that, I was like, what kind of clearance do you need? I was panicking. I was like, what's going on? Why is there not already a clearance? Is there something going on that we don't know about? Yes, so I was again stressing. But after he said that, I believe 2 minutes after that, we started moving and we took off. And once we started taking off, I was just like, it was very uncomfortable, because in general, I do not feel comfortable flying. Let's say not 100% comfortable. I'm like 60% comfortable, 40 not at all. Plus the situation on top of that. So I was like, the whole time, I didn't like that. And then since Emirates is super fancy, you had the screen in front of yourself. You had like 3 cameras attached to the plane, so you could actually check what's going on in real life, from in front of you, behind you, and basically down. Yeah, I believe so. So I was just switching in between these 3 cameras, and I was like, in no way am I gonna see any kind of missile. And then, I don't know if you guys got it and heard about this on the internet, but there was a thing in the beginning when it was like the biggest peak of the situation, that when the planes were taking off, there was actually a missile that was accompanying them, obviously, from the UAE side. So basically just to protect the plane in case something would backfire. So I was just checking between the cameras, and I was just like, where is this protective missile? And I couldn't find it. So I was like, no one is protecting us? What's going on? Like, I want to see the protective missile. But I didn't. I don't know if there was. Maybe it was like too far away and I couldn't see it. I don't know how this works, guys. I'm not an expert, but it definitely didn't help me that I didn't see it. It didn't calm me down. Anyway, we started flying, and as you have Dubai on the map somewhere here, Europe is basically here. So you just can go kind of straight line to the side, like diagonal, yeah. However, we started flying and we went down to the direction of Oman, and from Oman, and we were just following from Oman, kinda the border with Saudi Arabia, and then went up through Egypt. So I believe that was the safest way. I mean, I do trust the pilot and the aircraft and everyone that is involved in these things and taking decisions. So it actually did calm me down that we are flying away from Iran and all of these countries. However, like 10 minutes into the flight, I believe we started having turbulences, and I was like, why do I have to go through this? This weather was beautiful, it was sunny. Maybe we did approach some clouds, but still I was like super uncomfortable probably for the first hour of the flight. But then they started serving us food. I tried to take a nap and I did manage, so somehow I calmed down my nervous system. And once we were already above, let's say somewhere above Egypt, I was like, okay, we're fine. And then all of this stress disappeared and only the stress of flying stayed, which is actually normal with me. And yeah, after 8 hours, basically we landed in Europe. I was super happy to touch the ground and I don't want to fly ever again. So guys, you will never find me flying again. At least not long distance for now, because I'm traumatized. I'm so traumatized. And yeah, this is basically the story of it. However, this is not the end, because you know what happened to me. So right after the landing, obviously, like I went home, and maybe like during the evening the same day I was checking Instagram, and I don't know what's true about this, because these were not like official media sources. I just found it somewhere on Instagram and Facebook page. But basically someone said that on that same day actually 2 planes were hit in Dubai International Airport. However, apparently they were just like parked standing planes, like no one was inside, which is good. But it freaked me out. I was like, wow, how close, like, you know, like you just don't want to hear such things. I'm just super glad to be here right now in this situation. And if you are asking me what's next, I have no clue. I cannot answer that yet. However, I do wish everyone well. I hope everyone that is in Dubai is staying safe. I'm not saying it's dangerous to live there. It was just not for me due to the stress and the situation that is there right now, because it's still not solved. Like, I understand that you're possible to continue living, like everything is adjusted for you to leave, to go to work or maybe to home office, you know, like it's okay, you can do your normal day-to-day activities. I personally am a person that didn't like the overall situation of the country and the possibility of it escalating further. So that's why I did what I did. And if you cannot relate, that's completely fine. It's just my own experience that I want to share, and I hope you'll be able to respect it. And for those that escaped, maybe they can relate to me, and maybe someone just clicked on the video just to hear my experience, because it's something totally unpredictable and unimaginable for them. All in all, guys, I hope wherever you're staying safe. Please be careful. If there is a possibility to move somewhere safer, please do that for your own mental health. And yeah, with this being said, I'm closing the video finally. This was the longest video that I ever shot, and I'll see you in the next video, talking probably about something else. See you guys.